Let's get to the pass catchers. We talked about Egbuka with the return of Mike Evans at the top of this show. But for this week specifically, Matthew, against the Saints, can you continue to roll Egbuka out there? I find it hard to believe people will have so many better options or a surplus of options. But he does have one game with 10-plus points since week 6.
It's been, I get it. And if like I'm in a league and I see somebody has Egbuka on their bench, I get it. I'm reluctantly keeping it open here as well, though. Listen, he's had 6 straight games with 8 or more targets. Like, we believe in Emeka Egbuka's talent, right? We believe in this kid from Ohio State. And so, the fact of the matter is over the last 6 games, he's got basically a 30% target share. And just, I think, again, Baker's been off. The offense has been a little bit out of sync. But you're just telling me, a guy with that kind of talent's getting 8 targets. I know that he's gotten it. The production hasn't been there, but I'm keeping it open. I'm reluctantly keeping it open as a borderline wide receiver 2-3. You see it there on your screen. He's my number 8 wide receiver this week. So he's right there in the mix on the kind of 2-3 border.
And Jay, the reality is too, a lot of wide receivers are banged up or dealing with horrible quarterback play right now that, once again, because of the usage, the target share that Matthew hinted, maybe there's a floor, at least with Egbuka, that a lot of guys in this range might not have.
Yeah, I would keep it open on Egbuka as well, just because of the targets, because of the favourable matchup against the Saints. You just need one breakdown. Baker is throwing it his way. He hasn't lost confidence, which is promising. The concern is that Egbuka, since week 6, to your point, he's had basically one good game. He's 69th. In PFF grade among wide receivers. It just doesn't feel like the player who is kind of having this magical run the first 5 weeks of the season. Have you noticed anything different about Egbuka and the way that he's being played?
Well, to that grade, they're going to hammer you pretty hard on drops.
Yeah.
And he's had some, and I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
That should hammer your grade, and he's had some big drops. So I think that's it, Matthew, where you look at it, maybe the glass half full is Baker's still looking his way, and if you finish half of those plays, we're not having this conversation. But the glass half empty is that something that is going to continue going forward? I would think it doesn't, personally. Like, I think this slump is going to break, but there are the two ways of looking at it.
There's no question about it. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if, again, I'm not looking at somebody sideways if he gets benched in a league that I'm in, but, the premise of the segment is, are you keeping it open or closing it out? And I'm reluctantly keeping it open on Egbuka. I don't know that you're going to have many better options. Again, talented wide receiver getting 8 targets in a decent matchup against the Saints. It's going to be tough to beat, I think, for most people on their rosters.
How about this from Raise the Flags? Egbuka or Mike Evans if Mike Evans is active?
Evans.
Yeah, I think.
Evans, because as
Go
well,
faithful.
The nature of the injury too, like, it's not like he's coming back off a knee or a bad ankle. Yeah, it's like he broke his collarbone and bones healed. And Mike Evans knows the offense. Baker Mayfield is very in tune with Mike Evans. So, yeah, I think it's Mike Evans there.
The next one, I don't think we'll share the same confidence in here, Matthew. Brian Thomas Jr. Against the Colts right now. This matchup is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, especially Sauce Gardner's not going to play in this game. Not put on IR yet, but not going to play in this game. But 28 receiving yards in his first game back last week, and this has just been a very, very disappointing season across the board.
His lack of production this year has been shocking, and I don't know if it's just not on the same page with Trevor Lawrence. Of course, so much of his production last year down the stretch came with Mac Jones, whether it's unfamiliarity or with Liam Cohen's offense or just not a fit for what Liam wants to do. He has been banged up this year, but the production wasn't there prior to the injury, so you can't really say yes, he didn't produce, but he was hurt. He didn't produce. He's had one game this year, literally one game this year with more than 12 fantasy points. Last week, he ran 84% of the routes and still only earned 12% of the targets. Just think about that. just 12% target share. He was out there, right? And this is a game that Parker Washington left early. And he's not only is he not earning targets at a high rate, he's definitely not earning them when you're getting close. He's got one red zone target over his past 7 games. Literally one red zone target, not even an end zone target, literally one red zone target in his last 7 games that he's played. So, yes, I'm closing it out on Brian Thomas Jr. He's outside my top 30 this week, and he is in the running for biggest bust of the year, I think, fantasy-wise, based on where he was drafted and his production. Again, because I don't think you can sort of blame you can't blame his lack of production on injury the way you can some other players. Whatever. Jaden Daniels, I think you can blame on injury, right? Like he's been banged up basically, most of the year.
Yep, no, I agree. Brian Thomas Jr. and Kendrick Bourne, the only two Mac Jones merchants in NFL history. I think it's a relatively favorable matchup against the Colts. Question here from MDD0101. Drop BTJ for Evans. Yes, I'd rather have Mike Evans going forward. I think that's
without a doubt. I'm at the point where with Brian Thomas Jr., Jay, that like, are they just going to trade him this offseason? I'd almost take that side than against it, which is wild to say. Yeah. It just feels like it's just not working with Liam Cohen and this offense as a whole.
And they have a million wide receivers as well.
Travis Hunter will be back.
Travis Hunter will be back. They've obviously invested resources in trading for Jacoby Myers. Parker Washington's a real player.
They throw Brent Strange all the time.
They have players there. So, I don't know what happened to Brian Thomas Jr. We came into the season, it's like a fringe first-round pick in fantasy. So it's very strange. This is a reasonable spot to get right, I think. Certainly, Sauce Gardner Island is much more imposing than Mekhi Blackman Island. And so the Colts' corners are looking a little bit more shaky than it was a week ago. Colts also very little pass rush. It's Leatu Latu and then just pray, basically. Right. They're getting very little pressure. So Brian Thomas Jr., the reality is he's had more than 5 catches once this season. So I just don't think you can count on this guy at all.
How about Troy Franklin, Matthew? 2 games with more than 40 receiving yards since week 5. Sean Payton, we always make jokes about his backfield usage. That's starting to carry over to the wide receiver room as well as Pat Bryant gets more involved.
Yeah, Pat Bryant ran 5 more routes than Troy Franklin last week. 67% route rate last week. That's his lowest since week number 1. And so it's just sort of all over the place. And a game in which the Broncos were, it was kind of a crazy game against my Commanders going back and forth as well. The problem is that Troy Franklin is really touchdown dependent. And who among us isn't? But like in the games in this year in which he hasn't scored, he's averaging 7 fantasy points a game, right? He's had 40 or fewer receiving yards in 6 of his last 8 games. And he's been bailed out by the touchdowns, which is always an opportunity there. But they just spread the ball around so much, and they use so many different pieces of their offense. Like, it's hard to trust Troy Franklin. If you start him, you're basically banking on a touchdown against the Raiders, which could happen easily. Obviously, the Raiders have struggled so far this year, but he's my wide receiver 40. I'm closing it out on Troy Franklin.
All right, and our tight end on the board is to see Troy Franklin beyond household names like Jordan Addison, who's barely seen the ball in weeks, Romeo Doubs, Devon Vele, and Xavier Worthy. So tough times for Troy Franklin.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.